Hello, hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. बंदे का देखा था मैं उसको ही फॉलो करने वाला था. Not tracking. लग गया यार. ये प्लेबल वर्कशॉप. पहले ये ब्रैकेट कोर्स में फॉलो कर.
Welcome to university.
Apply to study abroad with the Duolingo English test. From registration to education, the DET offers a simple.
Hey guys, welcome to Playable Workshop. This channel is dedicated to helping you make your very own video games. I'm Nick Glenn. I've been programming for over 20 years, and today I'm joined by Jack Sather.
Hey everybody, I'm a YouTuber and I love talking about video games and I've always wanted to make them. So hopefully through this Playable Workshop class, I'll be able to take on the role of the student and you'll be able to relate to my noobness when it comes to making games and being taught by Nick Glenn.
So throughout this series, we're going to be teaching you how to make games. We're going to teach you the concepts behind making games, including code. And what we're going to be trying to build throughout this series to teach those concepts is a
Heavily inspired.
pretty heavily inspired by the Legend games that appeared on the Nintendo 64.
We chose Zelda because who doesn't love Zelda? But also Zelda, like something like Ocarina of Time, serves as a great jumping off point to get into other games, making games like Dark Souls or Skyrim or The Witcher 3. And hopefully with this class that we're teaching here on Playable, you guys will get the tools to make your own indie games and maybe one day make the next Skyrim. Or Zelda Ocarina of Time, because that's more applicable here.
So without further ado,
Time
let's get
serves as a
started.
great jumping off point to get into other games, making games like Dark Souls or Skyrim or The Witcher 3. And
Jack Sather.
hey everybody, I'm a YouTuber and I love talking about video games and I've always wanted to make them. So hopefully through this Playable Workshop class, I'll be able to take on the role of the student and you'll be able to relate to my noobness when it comes to making games and being taught by Nick Glenn.
So throughout this series, we're going to be teaching you how to make games. We're going to teach you the concepts behind making games. Throughout this series, we're going to be teaching you how to make games. We're going to teach you the concepts behind making games, including code. And what we're going to be trying to build throughout this series to teach those concepts is a
Heavily inspired.
pretty heavily inspired by the Legend games that appeared on the Nintendo 64.
We chose Zelda because who doesn't love Zelda? But also Zelda, like something like Ocarina of Time.
Games, including code. And what we're going to be trying to build throughout this series to teach those concepts is a
Heavily inspired.
pretty heavily inspired by the Legend games that appeared on the Nintendo 64.
We chose Zelda because who doesn't love Zelda? But also Zelda, like something like Ocarina of Time.
Games, including code. And what we're going to be trying to build throughout this series to teach those concepts is a
Heavily inspired.
मैं डिस्क्रिप्शन वगैरह चेंज नहीं कर सकता? एडिट। ओके, आई गेस सेटअप पूरा हो गया है। एक दफ़ा स्ट्रीम को देख लेते हैं। Is there anyone watching? No, it's only me, as expected. Okay, I guess सेटअप पूरा हो गया है। एक दफ़ा स्ट्रीम को देख लेते हैं। Is there anyone watching? No, it's only me, as expected. I guess सेटअप पूरा हो गया है। मैं इंग्लिश सेट करती थी क्योंकि उर्दू का ऑप्शन नहीं मिला था उस वक्त, या आई डोंट नो। इधर तो ऐसी कोई सेटिंग नहीं मिल रही है इस पे। I really hope मेरी stream की कहीं पे ना show हो जाए, hopefully ऐसा नहीं होगा. It doesn't really matter वैसे भी. I mean, सही है. Okay, इस वीडियो को कुछ पार्ट में देख चुका था और उसको फॉलो भी कर चुका था.
Jack, I see you moving around already.
What if I told you I made a functioning Roblox clone in under 60 seconds? What I did was use the warp.dev
स्ट्रीम करने के लिए एक सेपरेट अकाउंट बनाया.
Why there's certain colored lines across the screen, I'll let Nick explain what those are.
So these are called axes. Specific. So to get something more interesting to work on, now that you're part of the industry.
Show you like how you can put something into a game and Godot now. So now I know. So do we want to search through all these things, or is there a simpler way to get to what we want?
The simpler way is going to be the.
Let me show you. जो के thumbnail में भी है. Project settings. Oh no, sorry, not control shift. I think. एक दफा आएगी तो देखेंगे. ये ब्रैकेज का ट्यूटोरियल फॉलो करके बनाई थी, बट आई थॉट थोड़ी सी बेसिक नॉलेज 3D गेम्स की भी आ जाए, उसके बाद मैं ट्राई करूँगा कि खुद से कुछ बनाने की. इसके अंदर मैंने थोड़ी सी अपडेट्स की थी ब्रैकेज के मुकाबले में. थोड़ी मूवमेंट को थोड़ा बेहतर करने के लिए इस ट्यूटोरियल में ये लोग ज़ेल्डा क्लोन
The
बना
big
रहे हैं.
search box at the top of this browser.
Great.
What we want is some kind of a box that can operate as our floor. So why don't you just try typing box and see what comes up?
Box. Let's do this. Node 3D. CG, is this the one? CSG box 3D?
Yes. So CSG is Godot's kind of.
So I know that I have the power right. Even though we've seemed to squash and stretch this, it's still 111 across the board, which isn't what this looks like.
Right. And by the way, the thing that Jack just pointed out, this right-hand side is called the inspector panel, and it's going to show what are called the properties of anything you have selected on the left-hand side, like, the node or whatever, right? In fact, if you want to know what any of these properties do at any time, one quick way to do that is just hover over the label next to the property. This is going to give you the name of the property along with a little description of what the property does and what it's for.
So if these controls didn't change this, where is it being changed?
If you look at the inspector panel and go down the list, you're going to see a group called transform. And if you expand that group, we have position, rotation, and scale. And if you were to manipulate any of these controls, you'll notice that those numbers are now changing in the property in the inspector.
Gotcha.
We don't want to change it in the scale. We want to change the actual size. So to reset it, and you can use this on any property, we're going to hit the little recycle circle button, and that will set it back to its default, and we see we get a cube once again.
Perfect in every way.
Perfect in every way. So to change the actual size of the object, what we're going to do is go up towards the top where we have our size property. We can click into that first one there and type, say, 10. And suddenly we have a very long but very narrow floor. We could put 10 in the Z-axis. That would be the last part of the property there. Or if you wanted to do this more organically, you could use these red dots that are showing up, the little red gizmos, and those will actually manipulate the size of the box. But here's the trick. If you don't hold Alt, it's going to actually just go in that one direction, and it's going to move where the center of the box is. So while you're moving with these little gizmos, make sure to hold the Alt key, and that'll then pull it out evenly.
I'm going to eyeball it to 10, but then I'm going to be anal type 10 in here just to make sure it's perfect. And yes, I said anal in the tutorial. How's that for educational content? You can't censor me.
We have our floor, but it's, if this like grid we're seeing is kind of like the floor of the world, right? That's like 0 in terms of height. We want the top of this box, the top of our floor, to be the floor. What we should do is we should actually use the move controls now.
These ones, no dots.
Yep.
So I hit W. I'm going to bring this down. I imagine
It's going to run our project as if someone was just booting up our game. So the first time you
इतना छोटा चैनल है कोई
click this, because we
print
haven't
लगा भी
set
ऐसे
what our like starting or main scene of our game is.
मैं अपने दूसरे अकाउंट से भी जरा खोल लूं ये मुझे हाइड कर लेनी चाहिए आई डोंट नो no 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 how do I chat क्यों नहीं कर पा रहा फोन पे मैंने किया हुआ है बट no 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 अबे यार ये तो I don't want to learn my लैपटॉप पर तो मैं कर पा रहा हूँ okay
It's going to make you pick one. So we'll just use the current. Stands for resource or resources. Let's call the scene start.
Yep.
And then make sure to save it into a new folder called scenes.
Organization is important. I've learned this in game design. Just do it. Do we want to capitalize it? It doesn't matter. It's a folder.
It doesn't matter for folders.
Boom. And it is starting our game.
Yeah, it takes a second.
And there's nothing.
Nothing!
At least I think I'm seeing nothing.
You're seeing nothing. So this gray is basically Godot telling us, like, this is my default color. You haven't told me to show anything meaningful. To do that, we need to make something that's going to be our player's eyes and ears in the world, which we call a camera.
Okay.
So go ahead and select the root node and then hit the plus button.
And we're doing that because it'll become a child of the Node 3D. It'll go in here as well.
Yes, you got it. And like I said, we're looking for a camera. So just type camera and let's see what pops up.
Camera 3D, red, salmon. And I can move this around with my gizmo.
You sure can.
And look at that. We get a camera preview at the top right corner now. So if I move up, it'll move up. Look at that. We are in the future, people. We're making a game.
All right. Why don't we go ahead and hit play again and see what our game looks like.
Watch the... Why?
This is a very fun gotcha for people jumping into Godot for the first time. The reason we're seeing nothing is there's no lights or lighting or anything in our game.
It's just camera and action. There's no lights. There's actually no action either. It's just camera.
So the reason we did not see what we see in the Godot editor here, essentially there's just some preview settings happening here, and we can toggle those on and off in the toolbar. They're the little light and globe icons. There you go. So if you turn those off, and now it looks just like the game did.
Boom.
If you're wondering now how we make our game look like our demo scene, the menu dots right there, yep, lets us edit the sun and preview environment. And at this point, if you want to like not see this, as Jack so lovingly puts it,
Poop.
Why spend hours editing videos when AI can do it instantly? With Wayne Video, just pay.
Poop brown and this dead gray sky, like the most depressing colors they could have chosen, which so many of these game engines show for some reason. Let's make something fun. Let's get like a sandy beach, blue skies. Let's come on. Let's see some smiles.
And you'll also notice that as he's editing these controls and the colors and everything, this is affecting what's called the ambient lighting of the scene.
It's like lighting.
ब्राउन कलर इसका कलर चेंज होगा. Oh, I can't control the. कोई बात
Is affected on that square cube. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay.
All we're doing though is we're editing the preview settings. We still haven't added anything to our game level.
Great. It's still gray.
It's still gray. There's these two big buttons on the bottom. So one is going to add our sun or a directional light to the scene. And anytime you see directional light in 3D, that's basically a sun.
Yeah.
And then the add environment to scene is going to add an environment node, which has a bunch of different settings on it, one of which is our sky. So go ahead and do this for both of those.
And he's not wrong about the bunch of menus, because if you wanted to change your colors again, like let's say.
There you go. So if you turn those off, and now it looks just like the game did.
Boom.
If you're wondering now how we make our game look like our demo scene, the menu dots right there, yep, lets us edit the sun and preview environment. And at this point, if you want to like not see this, as Jack so lovingly puts it,
Poop brown and this dead gray sky, like the most depressing colors they could have chosen, which so many of these game engines show for some reason. Let's make something fun. Let's get like a sandy beach, blue skies. Let's come on. Let's see some smiles.
And you'll also notice that as he's editing these controls and the colors and everything, this is affecting what's called the ambient lighting of the scene.
It's like lighting is affected on that square cube. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay.
All we're doing though is we're editing the preview settings. We still haven't added anything to our game level.
Great. It's still gray.
It's still gray. There's these two big buttons on the bottom. So one is going to add our sun or a directional light to the scene. And anytime you see directional light in 3D, that's basically a sun.
Yeah.
And then the add environment to scene is going to add an environment node, which has a bunch of different settings on it, one of which is our sky. So go ahead and do this for both of those.
And he's not wrong about the bunch of
preview or disable.
menus, because if you wanted to change your colors again, like let's say, because now if you hit this button, you can't customize it in the same menu. You're going to go to world environment. It's going to open up the inspector on the right. Now you're going to go inside the environment screen. Then you go to sky to
is our sky. So
Yeah.
go ahead and do this for both of those.
And he's not wrong about the bunch of menus, because if you wanted to change your colors again, like let's say, because now if you hit this button, you can't customize it in the same menu. You're going to go to world environment. It's going to open up the inspector on the right. Now you're going to go inside the environment screen. Then you go to sky to affect the bottom half of the sky, the ground, or whatever we want to call it. Then you want to hit sky again. Then you're going to want to open up this procedural menu. And now we have options to go into the sky and the ground settings again, which are just affecting these top colors. So don't feel stupid if you lost where your environment settings were. It's easy to lose in this absolute haystack of a menu. Okay, so we've got the environment set up. Now if we hit play, it should be actually in our scene, in our game. Now we're gaming.
All right. So
मिडल माउस बटन यूज कर रहा हूँ इस तरह
what do you want to do now with it?
I would love to make something that moves around.
Great. So to do that, we're going to need to add another node. This is going to be a very common practice if you haven't picked up on that already. What we're going to look for now is a character body 3D node. Pretty much every type of platformer, action game, first-person shooter, when you have a character or a player or something, you're going to probably start with this node to move them around.
Boom. Great. And we don't have anything. Again.
Yeah.
Which is kind of typical in game design stuff. There's a lot of things that involve building something, especially anything visual.
This node does a lot, but visually not. The purpose of this node is it integrates with the physics engine so that we can create a character that's going to like bump into the walls or slide along the floor or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And if we look in the scene tree, we can actually see there's a little warning sign showing up. Why don't you go ahead and read that?
Node configuration warning. This node has no shape, so it can't collide or interact with other objects. Consider adding a collision shape 3D or collision polygon 3D as a child to define its shape.
We can just do what the box says.
So we're going to add a collision shape 3D.
Yes.
Add child node, collision shape, and there it is. Collision shape 3D. Create, and now we get another warning. A shape must be provided for collision shape 3D to function. Please create a shape resource for it. But this isn't saying make a new node. This is inside of collision shape 3D in the inspector where it says shape on the right-hand side.
This is probably worth bringing up, but every time you see a little box with empty or like a box with like boxes in it and that little drop down, this is a reference to some kind of a resource. So all these little options we're seeing here are just generating those resources directly on the object.
So do we want a box?
No, we want a capsule for a very specific reason, and I'll probably put some notes in the companion page. But basically, a box would get stuck on corners. A cylinder, yeah, it's round. It's not getting stuck on like corners of walls and stuff, but it's still getting stuck on like floor or rocks or whatever. Whereas a capsule lets us have kind of a tall shape representing a player's body, but it can slide over things or up things or bumps and walls.
Again, this is just like we're the player, where we're gonna like feel that movement. But if you wanted to make a game object that was a cube, you would use a cube box to have it function like a box would in the real world.
Yeah, depending on what type of game you're making, right?
Yeah. Okay, so I just moved it up. I'm gonna go ahead and move it back down. What should I do with this guy?
You should move it up.
Oh, move it up.
Yeah. We want the bottom of the capsule to be on the floor. And the reason for that is that it's going to be a lot easier later on when we start working on character movement stuff with code to think of where the character is, or where the player is, as wherever their feet are.
This was just affecting where the collision shape is. The character body is still in the same spot in that like kind of center origin spot that we had it at. But now if we move the character body around, we're kind of moving the shape up there instead of where it was before, where it was at like its center body, so it's not in the floor. So now we're kind of moving the whole thing.
You got it.
Those are good. That was difficult explaining. I was sweating through that.
So
character body 3D, then we add a collision shape, sprite I guess अभी नहीं डाला. Oh,
Now, if you were to try and play and be like, cool, I have a character body for the physics.
Here
system and
we
everything.
go.
There's a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
And that's because the collision shape we added and the character body, this is all really for the physics system. We see it here because this is a dev tooling.
This is for game developer eyes only, and this is between us.
In order to see our character, why don't we just reuse CSG system again, and we'll just add something that can represent our player character here. So let's click on character body 3D. And we're gonna add another node, and we can type CSG and see all the different CSG types. So you can do a box if you just want a box. Maybe you do a cylinder here. It doesn't really matter which shape you pick.
This is going to visually represent it.
Yeah, it's not gonna affect the physics system.
So we're in the character body right now, but this is just affecting the shape. So I can drag this up and kind of match that capsule, I imagine.
I think if you hold control, you'll snap like from the center point.
Oh, yeah,
you'll
true.
snap right to the middle of your capsule.
Boom.
And then that'll make it easier to align it from there.
And the reason why it's not snapping to the capsule per se, it's snapping to the grid line that the capsule got moved up by. Like, it just happens to be that same spot. And then let's make it bigger on the... the Y scale and kind of match that capsule, which like hits the floor. So that's about 1.95 meters.
If you wanted to be super exact, you could put 2, so that would be the height.
Is it?
The capsule's 2, right? So you could do 2. There's one.
Before we move around, again, just like the environment, I think this is a little boring. Can we change the colors of these guys, the floor and the object, the player?
Yes. So for that, you can look at the material property in the inspector. And right now it's empty, but you can click on it and it'll give you some options. And we're going to take the first one, which is new standard material. We'll cover materials and shaders and all the other things going on here later.
You'll soon come to find out that the word shader is a scary term to anybody getting into game design.
It can be.
Can be, yeah. So if I click this, this will expand this into a lot of other menus, which is a lot of things we're not going to use right now. We're just going to use one thing, and that is, what is this word?
Albedo. I don't know how you actually say it.
Also known as color. Why do they call it this? Some nerdy answer, I'm sure. I'm going to make it a nice, sexy salmon, just like to really, really let them know that we're working in 3D. But right now I'm like, what the heck, let's make a pink thing. And Nick pointed this out earlier. Why does it look pink, Nick?
The reason it looks pink is because when you select things in Godot, it kind of has that like blue highlight color.
So if I go to my Q selection mode, okay, there we go. So that's a little unhelpful while I'm looking at it, but it's my cross to bear. I'll just have to look at this. Well, I can actually change the object right here. Let's change it to a cube. Look at it a lot better. All right, let's make it that red. Looking at it.
Because when you select things
And Nick, nice, sexy.
Bro, both sensitive and middle mouse button. Damn, both sensitive.
Salmon, just like the really, really
it's that like blue highlight color.
at it, but it's my cross to bear. I'll just have to look at this. Well, I can actually change the object right here. Let's change it to a cube. We got it a lot better. All right, let's make it that red. Let's see if that looks good. Woo! Crispy like a red salmon. Now we're going to change the other box. We're going to select this, the floor, and we're going to do the same thing. Get the material, do standard 3D, click this menu, there we go. And now what are we going to make this? Let's make it grassy. I can't really see in the game preview, but I can see here. I'm just blindly making it. Look at that. That looks great. That's a real game. Yeah, we'll just play it.
Let's play it.
It's already going to work.
See what happens.
All right, great. Nothing. How do we get this thing moving?
Let's get this thing moving. To do that, we have to jump into the scary part of game dev for a lot of people, which is code. But I promise it's not scary, and it actually does become quite fun when you get comfortable with it.
And he's not just saying that as a guy that is an experienced programmer. Coding is really cool. Sure, it's intimidating, like looking at something that you don't understand in the beginning, but you'll be surprised at how quickly you can start to understand some of these concepts and terms just by being exposed to it over and over again. And Godot with GD script, in my opinion, has been the easiest way to start learning code for game design.
So what Jack said is 100% correct. And in fact, we're going to be using a template that Godot gives us that's going to really let us like jump forward a few steps and see that exciting moment of like, this feels like a game.
Yeah.
So we're going to right click on character body 3D. There's an option called attach script. And you'll notice that there's a little icon with like a scroll and a plus. Yes, exactly. It matches those 2 points right there. So either of those buttons are going to do the same thing. At the top, we have our language selection. For us, it's just going to be GD script. Now, if you had downloaded the .NET version of Godot earlier, then you'd have GD script and C# as options here. Inherits is whatever node that we're going to be inheriting from or extending from, which we haven't talked about yet. The next thing down is going to be template. It starts like this by default. So if we just toggle this little use template checkbox on, we'll now see the available templates for whatever node type we have selected. Pretty much all nodes, because all nodes are a type of node, have the default template available to them.
Yeah, it's kind of rare that they have like a full built out template for a node. It's kind of character body's one of the few.
We are going to use that because that's going to streamline us right to having a moving character.
Yeah, like it even says it like what it is template. Basic movement, class movement for gravity games, aka most games, humanoid games, FPS, DPS.
And then built-in script, I don't really know what it does. It doesn't matter.
Which is rare for Nick, so that means it's really not important.
And then the next thing is path, and this is going to be where we're going to save our script. So let's go ahead and hit the folder icon there.
Because right now it's in scenes, we don't want it in scenes.
Yeah, we don't want it in scenes. We want to make a scripts folder.
Yeah, and so to get out of scenes.
I didn't know this part. Character body 3D, basic bar, fine. Script. Okay. Nice. Open. That's it. हाँ ग्राउंड के भी collision shapes वगैरह नहीं बनाई गई
Scenes, I'm going to hit this arrow, which takes us one back. This is the file system browser menu at the bottom left. So you can see like we were just in scenes down there, and now we go.
Not like 2D मैं कोई expert हूँ 2D में भी बहुत basic level पे ही है.
Go out one, we're at resources. So we're gonna make a new folder called scripts, as well keep our game scripts. And again, I can't tell you how important it is to keep your stuff organized. It'll come in very handy. And we'll try to do our best here while we're running through this stuff. So are we gonna call this the player.gd?
Yeah, let's call it player.gd. And by the way, a script is just a text file that happens to have code that has a certain extension on it. Player.gd for GD script. And that's it. Hit create.
Right, create. Oh, what is all this? Where am I? Where do we go? What happened to my game? Why am I in the Matrix? This also took us away from that game preview mode because we're now in the built-in script editor of Godot. A lot of game engines will usually have like an external script editor, which could be VS Code or
speed, jump velocity. Okay, 2D की तरह का ही है. It's not on floor. Okay, same. This is ये थोड़ा different है. Direction. Okay, X में भी है, Z में भी है. Understood. And
or Notepad for crying out loud. Could it be? Whatever. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that was the first 7 years of my programming life.
So crazy. You guys want a Stone Age. Anyway, so we're in the script menu right now, which, don't worry, your game's still there. It's just over in this 3D game menu. And then the 2D menu, we're going to be using for things like making UI and menus, health bars, all that kind of stuff. Back to the script menu. Nick, continue. This is where he's going to take over most of the thing because I totally know what I'm doing here and can explain back and forwards, but Nick, go ahead.
We are going to be breaking this down piece by piece. I think the best thing we could do right now is just let you play it and see what happens now that we created this little script file that has some stuff in it, and we attached it to our character body.
Little scroll next to the character body. We're officially attached.
Yep, that means it's attached.
So let's hit play. Oh, and sunk to the floor. There's something moving on our screen, at least. Some good news.
Yeah. So one of the things the script added was gravity, which meant, we go down.
Get gravity. It's somewhere in there. Look at that. And it's just multiplied by delta, of course. Well, of course, you have to multiply that by delta, strictly speaking.
Unless you want a computer with the turbo button, yes, you do.
I apologize to my nerds out there if I do nerd voice every now and then. I mean it with all love. The reason why we fell to the floor is because the cube that is our floor doesn't have a collision shape on it like our character body.
Yeah, it's not actually part of the physics system yet.
So if I were to go back here and go to CSG, I'm guessing on the fly here. If I were to go on this, click the plus button, add a child node, and look up a collision box again, collision shape 3D. This time I think we're safe to use a cube. It's gonna be that warning. That's because I need to put a shape on it. We just did this. You guys know this. In fact, pause. See if you guys can do it yourself at home. We're back. All right. We're gonna select a box shape from this menu. We can't really see it, but I think if we extend it out, we'll be able to see it. Let's do somewhere, what is it, 10 on each side?
What I would do, if you can't see the thing you're trying to size, we have a size property there, right? Just like our CSG box did.
Yep.
What we could do is just match our X and Y values.
Just 10 each.
Yeah, whatever you had it set to.
If we move it up, you can actually see that that is the collision box right there, but we're already perfectly aligned with it because it's inside of the CSG box, so its anchor point already makes it aligned.
Collision shape 3D. Let's say 2D games बनना definitely ज़्यादा enjoyable था. ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? What is this one? Okay, only serves to provide a collision shape regulation. Okay, 3D developer. Please only use it as a chart of area 3D, static body 3D, rigid body 3D. Huh. So.
And this is going to get into like relative orientations and
You're gonna
relative
dissect
positions.
relativity in front of these guys? What is this, Interstellar?
I mean, relative transforms is what I'm looking for.
okay.
That's going to be a big thing later. Let's not worry about it too much right now.
I already crapped my pants in the script menu.
So you still have a warning on your collision shape.
Yes. Collision shape 3D only serves to provide a collision shape to a collision object 3D derived node. Nick, go ahead and translate.
Basically, this node needs to be under something that's talking to the physics system. So character body 3D is one of those, right? There's a couple other ones, one of which is a static body 3D. So if we wanted to go this route, we would have to add it underneath a static body 3D. Now, the easy way to do this is we can right click on this node.
Which, by the way, what you're saying is what is telling me to do. Please only use as a child of an area 3D, static body 3D, rigid body 3D, character body 3D, etc. So you just name static body 3D. That's what we're gonna go for.
Because it's gonna be a static body. It's not moving, right? It's not dynamic.
Should I make it a child node here, or should I click CSG box 3D?
So neither. Another approach you can do is you could right click on collision shape 3D, and you'll see some options like we have reparent to new node. If we click that one, we can select a node, and it'll automatically make it a child of that node and put that node where this node is.
Oh, so we're giving it a parent. Like we're going 2 levels up. You will learn about the other types of body, rigid body, 3D object or nodes later. Boom. So that made that the parent of the collision shape, and now it's all happy.
Now, if you hit play,
we don't have controls yet.
Reparent? The new node, I think. Static body. Rigid body? Nah, static body.
I think because they might be the arrow keys. Yes, look at that. Video gaming.
we did it. That was a lot of work for our white box.
Just kidding me? That was a piece of cake.
Imagine you had built a whole level. Are you going to want to go set up collision shapes for everything, especially if you have a bunch of complex shapes?
No. Yeah, like a bunch of rocks.
We can actually delete our static body 3D. Let's go ahead and collapse down material because we don't need to see its details. You see there's a property there called use collision. We turn that on.
Boom.
And we were to try playing our game again. Let's see what happens.
Bam. We're still in business. Real quick,
Yes.
before I say anything else, you know this is like weird, like squarey bug.
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
What do you think that we could just fix that real quick? Like figure it out? Quick timeout. Me and Nick just noticed that there's like this weird pixel artifact problem that weird, like squarey bug.
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Still in business. Real quick,
Yes.
before I say anything else, you know this is like weird, like squarey bug.
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
What do you think that we could just fix that real quick? Like figure it out? Quick timeout. Me and Nick just noticed that there's like this weird pixel artifact problem that keeps happening, and we're gonna fix this real quick. I actually think we already figured out the fix. If you're experiencing this, to fix this right now in Godot 4.4, which just came out, like give it some grace, okay?
Bugs happen, people. You will have bugs in your game.
Yeah, not being defensive. Close out of this, go to your project settings, and then you are going to go to the search bar, type in render, and go down in the rendering menu, go to rendering device. If you're using Windows, switch this from Vulkan to D3D12, DirectX 12.
And then after you've done that, you're going to hit save and restart.
Yeah. Quick timeout. Okay, was out of this bar, type in render, and go down. In the rendering D12, DirectX 12.
And then after you've done that, you're going to hit save and restart.
Boom. Everything's fine. Yes, that definitely fixed it.
Okay, great.
Feels smoother too. Oh, buttery smooth. Let's go.
जिया लागे ना तोरे बिन मेरा पिया लागे ना तोरे बिन मेरा पिया लागे ना तोरे बिन मेरा जिले सरा
We're back in business. Instead of using my arrow keys to move around, could we switch that to WASD real quick?
Yeah, that's going to be pretty easy to do. Let's go to project settings. At the top, we have controls necessary. We're going to need. So we're going to do move right and move forward directions. So controls, just change where it says UI underscore to move underscore. And a quick trick here is if you highlight all of the UI part like you just did, and you hit Control D.
Oh, cool. It'll find the next one. Sweet. So if I type in move now, boom. Yep. We just are typing our first code here, people. This is huge.
Simple as that.
And now we play it. My brother, WNS don't work.
So the reason for that is we have move forward and move back.
Yeah, move up and down are forward and backward now. So we got to change those. Forward. And I'm using control but arrow keys to move words.
One pro tip from a developer who's been doing this a very long time.
There he goes.
The more comfortable you get with the keyboard, the much happier time you're going to have.
Yeah, I actually learned a lot of this stuff from Ali Abdul, like a productivity YouTuber, and he like went over all the keyboard shortcuts, and it's like, it's a lifesaver. Okay, let's see. Boom. Forward and backward. Let's see if I can move off this edge. See, that's what's nice about the apps. It can kind of give some grace before you slip off the edge to your inevitable infinite doom. Okay, so now we can move around. This feels so good. It's so smooth, and we can even jump already, I'm noticing. But we kind of are in this like still shot camera. Can we get it to be on our character?
Yes. This is actually going to be extremely easy in this case. Okay. We won't want to change it later when we have more of a robust camera system. All we need to do is drag our camera 3D node that we have here onto our character body. So that's going to make it a child of our character body 3D.
Huh. I thought your first person.
And will this work just like instantly like that?
Yeah, that should be it.
Look at that. We're already moved up. Can we get a little closer and like tilt it down a little bit maybe?
Yeah, that's just going to be as simple as selecting your camera 3D and then using the move controls to just bring it in.
That's we're moving it on the ZZ axis for our British listeners. Bring it up a little bit. I'm using this little preview finder to really lock it in. I'm going to rotate it just a hair. Let's see what that looks like. Look at that. We have a person moving around. We are that much closer to building, what do we call it? Wannabe Zelda, Bajelda, whatever it was.
So I think this is a great stopping point for right now because we don't want to overwhelm our wonderful viewers on episode 1.
Wait, where's the...
Yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully it was a little bit more fun than the typical tutorial. We also want to release this as a parted out series, and this will be part 1, and we really want to release it that way because we want to get your feedback and know how we are doing as far as teaching the class. If you guys have any advice on like stuff that we're missing or questions, let us know in the comments down below.
Or you can join our Discord. We're setting up a community in there for you guys to share what you're working on. If you get stuck on anything in this video or have feedback you want to talk with us about directly, we're in there.
It did take a bit of time to put this video together, but that was mainly just because I was making another video. So give us a few weeks to put out part 2. We're still trying to figure out the cadence of how we're going to be able to release this, but eventually you'll be able to watch it all together and be able to make our first game from start to finish. But thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in part 2.
अब जीते मौका कैश प्राइजेस जीतने का और अपने दोस्त को एक स्पेशल गिफ्ट या कोक बॉटल देने का बस क्यूआर कोड
स्ट्रीम तो मैं फिलहाल एंड करने लगा हूँ, काफ़ी रात हो गई है और अब मैं सोने जा रहा हूँ। सो बाय बाय। कोई है तो नहीं यहाँ पे।